Welcome. Poetry changes lives. Poetry in history and a thought for the day. As you may know already, every day of the year, including leap year, you can find it in this book. This is the paperback version. There's a hardcover version as well. And it always surprises me there aren't very many books that combine poetry and history like that. But I think that the two are very much linked after all. Before writing was invented in the early prehistoric civilizations, if you wanted to remember the history of your tribe, you had to commit it to memory. You couldn't write it down because writing hadn't been invented. And poetry was a great way of remembering things because the rhythm and the rhyme helped people remember. And so poetry predates writing, and it's been with us ever since. Every century, people all over the world have felt somehow the need to communicate strong feelings in the form of poetry. It's a remarkable sort of mysterious fact that we sometimes don't appreciate, I think, that whatever's going on in the world, there's always been somebody who's wanted to write down in a sort of poetic form how they were feeling about it all at the time. Even, in the early, people like Homer who were writing 2,500 years ago, when writing was only recently invented. Some of the passages in Homer are so beautiful about emotions of sympathy and also of rage, for that matter. And then the Romans, the early Anglo-Saxons, the Elizabethans, Shakespeare, of course, and then the Victorians, just one after the other. And it goes on to today. Poetry has never been healthier, really, than it is today. Loads of people write it, including, great statesmen of the 20th century like Churchill and Stalin, Mussolini, even Hitler wrote poetry, of course. Before them, people like Abraham Lincoln, lots of people, and kings and queens. I'm talking today about Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who was born on this day in 1807. He was an academic at Harvard University for much of his adult life, and he's particularly known for his longish ballads like the Song of Hiawatha and Paul Revere's Ride. He lived a fairly tranquil life, but it was very much blighted by the tragic death of his wife, Frances, who was badly burnt in the house and died as a result. It was an accident that happened quite a lot in the 19th century and earlier times. The combination of, before electricity, lighting was with candles, open fires were common in the living room, in the kitchen, for cooking as well as for heating the house. And people also wore, particularly ladies, wore long dresses, sometimes quite flimsy, and just simply sometimes standing near an open fire, a spark would blow out and catch the dress, and terrible accidents happened commonly in those days. It was really dreadful, and of course houses burnt down as well, but people had to be very, very careful, and sometimes even children, would be unaware of the dangers and fall into the open fire, that kind of thing. Quite awful. So sadly, Longfellow's wife, Frances, ended up like that. He wrote only one love poem, and I'm going to read it now. I'm not sure if he wrote it after she died or before. It's very beautiful, I think. Here we are. Low in the painted oriel of the west, whose panes the sunken sun incarnadines, like a fair lady at her casement shines the evening star, the star of love and rest. And then anon she doth herself divest of all her radiant garments, and reclines behind the sombre screen of yonder pines, with slumber and soft dreams of love oppressed. O my beloved, my sweet Hesperus, my morning and my evening star of love, my best and gentlest lady, even thus, as thou, that fair planet in the sky above, dost thou retire unto thy rest at night, and from thy darkened window fades the light. It's interesting, I always think, how poems like that, are very unmistakably 19th century. That sort of language used is not likely to be used in a poem today, the way it starts. Low in the painted oriel of the west, whose panes the sunken sun incarnadines. I mean, the word incarnadines, which means tinges with red, basically, is a word you virtually never hear these days. Yet, reading these poems of 100 years or more ago, they still have the great power to move us with their words. It's just another sort of remembering that poetry doesn't have to be modern to move us. Like, I suppose, like old master paintings, old writing can be just as powerful, sometimes even more powerful than the modern versions. And some of the greatest poets, still the most popular poets today, lived hundreds of years ago. Well, Shakespeare, for one. I mean, he just seems to, his popularity never seems to wane, and rightly so, I think. And Longfellow and some of the American poets of that era are extremely fine too. I really recommend them. Today I asked to understand the meaning of true love and friendship. Thank you for listening today.